Trouble Is My Business is a new play now premiering at Portland Stage. The Portland Public Library recently held a page-to-stage discussion providing insight into the challenges of bringing this new work based on Raymond Chandler's classic character, Philip Marlowe, to life. Brian Knobloch spoke with actor Dave Mason about this new work.
So Dave, let's talk a little bit about Trouble Is My Business. New plays, two new plays based on Raymond Chandler's classics.
Yeah, it's based on two short stories by Raymond Chandler. One is Red Wind and the other is Trouble Is My Business. And it's Jim Glossman, who wrote this adaptation, is a friend of mine, and I worked actually on a couple of readings of it down in New York and New Jersey over the last year and a half or so. But it's basically, it's two of Jim's favorite Raymond Chandler short stories. It follows Philip Marlowe, who's a private detective, and it follows him as he sort of stumbles into murder and mayhem and intrigue over the course of two acts. The first one is actually, it's quite well known. The opening stanza from Red Wind is a really well-known piece of literature. It's a very descriptive sort of paragraph about the winds, the Santa Ana winds. But yeah, so it's two separate stories that has a little bit of overlap in terms of characters that are mentioned, but otherwise they're totally standalone. They sort of stand on their own as separate short stories, and the plot twists are completely separate from each other. But the one constant is Marlowe, and Chandler, I think, wrote close to, gosh, he wrote, I think, at least like 10 to 20 different stories involving Philip Marlowe, and had, when they started, his name was John Dalmas, but over the course of maybe 10 years that he was writing these stories, they all came to be Philip Marlowe stories, detective stories. So it's a little intimidating stepping into roles that Humphrey Bogart is known for, and they're some of the great classic movies of the 30s and 40s. The most daunting aspect of it has been just the pure breadth of dialogue that is entailed in doing this part. So there's been a lot of time spent trying to learn all the lines. Aside from that, yeah, it's really daunting to step into a role that's so well known by so many different people and is sort of iconic in its own way. And I've been lucky in that Jim he's been very supportive the whole way, and he told me when he first asked me to do this that he didn't want me to be trying to imitate Bogart or James Garner or anybody. He just wanted, he said he chose me because he knew that I would bring myself to it, and that was what was important to him in having somebody play this role rather than trying to follow in any one person's footprints. To a certain extent, I bring my sensibility to it, but as is the case with anything that's well written, you know, you bring a bit of yourself to it, and then the language itself will bring the other. So I think Jim has done a really good job of adapting this and including a lot of what is, in essence, Raymond Chandler and Philip Marlowe in the script, so that people coming to see it are not going to be disappointed that somehow we're sort of taking a different take on Philip Marlowe, because in truth the script itself is so faithful to the original that I think it plays really well that way. And I think people who have seen the movies or who are great Raymond Chandler fans would not be disappointed with what's on stage right now.
Dave Mason talked about the Page to Stage workshop at the Portland Public Library.
It's a chance for the community to come out and discuss with people who are involved in the production on the dramaturgy side and the directing and the acting, just a chance to discuss what the process is in terms of bringing especially a new work to the stage, and what kind of challenges we meet on the journey, and and I think any dialogue like that with a community and people who get a chance to see what's on stage and then get a chance to see or speak to those who are involved about what goes on behind the scenes is really informative. And I think it's the ones I've done before in many environments. They're really beneficial to both actors, directors, and audience members. I think it's really sort of an exciting way to involve people in the process.
You're not going to give away the ending, are you?
Not this time. No, I hope not. If I know what's good for me, I will keep my lips sealed.